Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on how to write a technical paper. My name is Kulofelo Hopalefosi, and I am currently serving as, just trying to open the, sorry. I'm currently serving as the Deputy Chairperson for the IITPSA Gauteng chapter. And of course, we have quite a number of chapters depending on your interest. I'm also a member of Women in IT as well as the Cybersecurity chapter. But this particular webinar is brought to you by the Gauteng chapter in collaboration with the Northwest University and Tshwane University of Technology. I think I've been very vocal about, being impatiently waiting for this webinar because this is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about writing technical papers, but also one of the core reasons that I was looking forward to this webinar is that there is so much to learn from both the profs that are in our presence. I'll quickly do a short bio on both of them. We have Prof Malele and Prof Topside, who will be helping us in navigating this topic around writing technical papers. In terms of the short bio, I will start with Prof Malele, also well known as Vusi, is an associate professor of computing, including systems engineering, ICT at the Northwest University, Vaal Campus. He holds a Doctor of Technology degree in Industrial Engineering from TUT, Master's in Engineering Science degree in Electronical Engineering and Computer Science, and Postgraduate Diploma in Electronic Engineering, both from Stellenbosch University, and a Bachelor of Science in Physics and Statistics from Vista University, now University of Johannesburg. His experience spans being a supervisor of honors master's and PhD degree in computer science, information systems, information technology, industrial engineering, and computer systems engineering. A deputy director, research manager, a lecturer, a senior electrical and systems engineer. So, and this, I think it just shows why I'm so excited about the webinar. There is so much knowledge that we are going to gain from Prof Malele. But also, I would like to introduce one of our moderators, which is Topside, Prof Topside Matonzi, who is currently an associate professor, head of department in IT department, Faculty of ICT at Tshwane University of Technology. And I also, I think just to mention before we proceed, that on the 17th and 18th of July, Prof Topside was awarded Best Computer Science Reviewer at the South African Institute of Computer Scientists and Information Technologists Conference in 2025. So I honestly believe that we are in very good, capable hands where a lot of expertise and experience is going to be shared with us. This is going to be, we are looking at, depending of course on the appetite, we are looking at conducting a series of these webinars. The reason being that we need more students and more professional to contribute towards their field of studies or even profession. I strongly believe that we cannot always be the end users, but we have the power and we have the voice to influence, the standards and the policies, and especially developing or coming up with solutions on the technology that are going to be used in the future. So through technical paper writing and through your contributions, I believe that we would all have a strong voice in influencing, the adoption and the solution in future technologies that are coming. With that said, Prof, I will hand over to you. Also, please note that there's a question and answer section where you can type in your questions and they will be addressed at the end of the presentation. And Prof Topside will also be facilitating the question and answer at the end of the presentation. With that said, Prof Malele, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, let me go a bit live. My name is Vusi. Malele is the surname. As you can see me, I'm not a robot. We just want to dive into a nice, wonderful topic for everyone who's in the field of computing. That will be computer science, that will be IT, that will be anything ICT. We need to be able to know how to write technical papers. I'm so excited to say most of the people, when they come into this subject of technical, they already know how to write. The key thing here is the word technical. And I will say to you, when you buy your cell phone, you probably already have some guidelines of how to use that smartphone. Anything that you buy has a sort of guidelines of how to use that particular instrument or device. So that is more of documentation. So technical writing simply mean documenting, documenting your studies. Now it's a bit different from actual scientific writing. But when we convert it into a technical paper for publication, it can be similar, as you will see on how we are going to handle ourselves in this webinar. You are more than welcome on the 29th of July as we go through this. As I've said, you have everything on the screen there. Now, the objectives of us doing this webinar, we want to have, to learn the techniques for articulating complex concepts in a simple format. We want to learn on how to write a well-structured and impactful paper. We want to boost the confidence in publishing your paper. Now, all those three, they simply mean you have to do something. You have to do something. You have to act as an individual and put yourself into a space of doing some work. If we begin, I'll start by looking at the Deming cycle, which is found in the space of continuous improvement. In the field of continuous improvement, they like what we call plan, do, check, and act. So I like to start there. For you to write a technical paper, this is a cycle that you need to try and follow by all means. This is a format. You can use your own format, but I normally say try and use this particular format. Follow it, and it will assist you to sort of continuously improving your kind of writing. So it has a planning. Now, when you are doing a technical paper, you need to know that a successful paper, as I wrote there, is the one that is accepted into a technical publication. You choose the technical publication that you want. It could be a journal, it could be a conference, it could be a symposium. Symposium focuses on a particular subject. Conference can have different subjects, but symposium itself, if it's, for example, a symposium of machine learning and cybersecurity, it will focus only on machine learning and cybersecurity. A conference can say, okay, it's a conference of machine learning and cybersecurity, but an individual can come and say, okay, I want to put a paper that is cybersecurity, but not with machine learning. So that's those are the kind of differences that you need to know, and you need to know that technical publication. So I will always advise that if you want to win, you need to know the journal or the conference where you want to present. How do you do that? you need to go to the previous proceedings, the previous maybe volume of that particular journal, the previous work, what they were doing. And then you need to read the guidelines of what exactly they are looking for. So that's what you do when you are doing the body of work. It's when you look for the platform. After that, what do? You make sure when you plan that your work then becomes relevant. The body of work is unique and valuable to others. It becomes relevant to that particular conference or to the readership of that particular journal. So you are looking for the technicalities or technical space or things that they want as a journal. Then you begin to scope a style of writing your paper. In most cases, as you will see as I continue, the technical papers, they are actually, most of them written in what we call an IMRAD or IMRAD, based on your pronunciation style format. Now, I'm going to make sure that I'm taking you through that. So I've said know the environment. The technical paper has typical venues in ACM, IEEE. That is when you are writing a technical paper for publication of maybe your scholarly work, your research, not a technical paper of a training guide or a paper that will tell a person how to use this kind of an instrument. Then you can even write white papers which are following a particular standard. But today I want us to just focus on technical papers for journals or conferences. In the next webinars and all that, I think we can follow other structures. Today I want us to look at academia, not the business side. We will look at the business side in other webinars. Now, the avenues that are there, IEEE, ACM, Springer Link, Scoopers, and association or societal publications, SAIST, IET, you name them. All of them, they will give you, now you are planning here, they will give you a particular template that you need to follow. So IEEE has a particular template that you follow. It's standard for all IEEE conferences or journals and ACM as well. So all of this that I gave you on number 3, they have that kind of a template. So it becomes easier for you to follow a particular template. Now, when you perform, remember it's plan, do, check, and we are going to come to the end of it. Now, from planning you do simply mean perform. Now, if you are writing a technical paper or most of any writing, you need to make sure that you use what we call hooks, right? You need to apply hooks. What is a hook? A hook is an opening statement. Depending on the kind of paper that you'll be writing now, let's say you are writing an argumentative paper, you are arguing issues. I've given you an example in number 1, the argumentative kind of a paper hook. It could be something like, is AI responsible for declining job market? And is that leading to job losses? Already, when a person reads such a thing, the person will want to know and will want to come with his or her own argument into an issue. So if you use such things, other authors, they don't like using a question kind of a style as an opening line or as a hook. But the idea here is you need to use hooks. You need, some people, they call hooks punchlines. You need to attract your reader when you perform. So you when you do something, it's perform, it's the do part of PDCA. So on an empirical, it could be just a statement that is hypothetical. hypothetical statement. Artificial intelligence could lead to more jobs being dormant. That's a hypothetical statement. So when you start your paper like that, you are going to attract the readers of that particular field, and as well the ones that are sort of relating to the field or want to understand what it's your paper all about. I went back, I think. Okay. Now, you need to monitor your work. So checking is all about monitoring. You monitor your work, proofread your work. So find a tool that will assist you with proofreading, and make sure that you plan, you check, as you check your work, you have planned to write this paper. Then you say, okay, to monitor myself, I need to be able to explain every textual, mathematical equation or picture, graphical that is there. I need to be able to put a textual on it. The other thing that I didn't put here that you need to know when you are doing the monitoring, you need to as well plan to check for similarities and AI similarities and just normal website checking similarities, because these days people are writing papers using the help of AI tools. So you need to check whether your work is yours or it's an AI or it's a ChatGPT kind of a work, because you will fail to publish your work if it's a GPT kind of a work. So you will fail. So you need to learn to check for similarities and things like those. Now, improve. If you have used technology, AI enabling kind of technology, remember technology is an enabler, is not a writer. So if you prompt from Grok, ChatGPT, and the others, make sure that you write the paper. You don't submit work that is written by technology, because that won't be you. And you need to remember something. Technology follows what we call GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So if you had a lot of people who were explaining a particular topic, let's say they were explaining a topic of cybersecurity, and they miss certain points, or they actually talk of information security as if it's cybersecurity. When you are writing your paper and you are saying, I'm writing about cybersecurity, but you find that you are using more of information security kind of concept in cybersecurity, and one can be able to see. Remember, if you prompt this from an AI base or a technology enabler, then those are kind of things that you will always come across when you read these papers. You can see a confusion of concepts, you can see wrong statements being used, then you begin to see that this person didn't write the paper on themselves, they used other work. Yes, you are doing what we call search again, which is research. You are searching again, but you need to put it in such a way that it's understandable and it follows a particular concept. Right. This is what you do in your plan, do, check, and action kind of work. So I hope I'll get questions on that section. So those are the techniques that you will have to use to make sure that you take your work forward. Revisit your work, proofread your work, check the concepts that are aligning with that kind of journal, the field. You don't want to be an outlier when you are publishing your work in a particular journal. If you are an outlier, you want maybe it's an augmentative kind of a paper. you argue something, actually, argumentative paper, you argue something, you need to pull these guys to come where you are as an outlier. You need to make sure that you really understand a lot of things in that particular area. I can mention like understanding maybe a philosophy of cybersecurity, to pull maybe all the security experts, professionals, to a particular point of understanding. Some people, they just drop, they use disruptive technology. They will drop in a technology to pull everyone to where they want to go. That's what ChatGPT, they use. They drop the technology as if there was no technology like that before. And everyone followed because they wanted to bring people in that kind of a space and a platform. Okay, that's what COVID did. All of us, we started understanding hygiene because of COVID. It pulled us. It was an outlier. We never thought about it working in our lives. Then it dropped a bomb. Pandemic, everyone then started hygiene and everyone moved. So you need that kind of a way of thinking if you want to pull people on to your when you argue something. Now, when you boost your confidence, make sure you don't write using slang. Proper English. Do not look at your discipline. Look at the journal and make sure that you write in such a way that everyone, student, professionals, can understand your writing, right? When you give it to somebody to read that particular paper, they can get your arguments, they can get your idea just from reading a paper without you beginning to explain it. So they can get at least 60 to 70% of your work before you can even explain it. Now, you need to understand your audiences. If it's a conference, it will have a mixture of people. It will have professionals in the IT space. It will have government officials. It will have experts. It will have industry sponsors. So you need to try and write your paper in such a way that you cover most of your audiences. So if it's a symposium in most cases, or a business platform whereby you want to introduce something in an arena of business, it will have people that are specifically related to that particular idea. As I've said, machine learning and cybersecurity symposium. It will have a lot of people, about 90% of them will be people who understand thoroughly so cybersec, and those who understand machine learning. So if you are introducing something there, you then begin now to say, all right, they understand concepts. Now I'm going to talk about this a little bit. When I'm writing, I'm going to write about this a little bit, and then I'm going to converge and bring them to my point. So you need to understand your audience. That's how you boost your confidence. When you write, make sure that you narrate. You become a nice storyteller. There's a flow in your work. You don't have to have an introduction at the bottom of the paper. You need to start with the introduction. So there's a flow in everything. I'm going to make just a small illustration when I'm doing a presentation after the slides. I've already mentioned this when I said plan, do, check, and act. Under the check, I said proofread your work. You can even record yourself when you proofread this work to sort of get an understanding. That's the reason it's very important for you to put time in writing a technical paper for a journal or conference. Don't say, I'm going to write it in 2 days. There are a lot of things that you're going to miss. put time. Put a draft in this manuscript and read this manuscript. That's the reason if you have a professor or a leader and colleagues, collaborators, you need to share that particular manuscript with them so that they can make their inputs and you begin to draft something that comes with a good confidence level into that particular conference or journal. Now, I like to use metaphors on very complex issues, analogies and metaphors on very complex issues. I remember I think in 2013, when I started started with my TUT class in research methodology, I used the same concept that I use at the University of Limpopo when I started teaching research methodology in 2006. Then I said to them, imagine you want to do this kind of research, but before you want to report this research, but before you report a research like this and you don't know what you are going to write about how to do eggs, how to prepare eggs for a client. Number one, you need to know what the client wants. That's a metaphor now. You need to know what the clients want. Do they want the scrambled eggs? Do they want omelette? Then when you write that, by knowing what the client wants, you will specifically follow. Let's say the client wants an omelette, you will follow a method of how to do an omelette. If another client wants sunny side, you will follow a method of sunny side. But if the client says, I want eggs, you can choose a method that you are going to use to prepare the eggs for this particular client. So when you have complex ideas and you want to bring them forth, think of a metaphor. Think of something that you can use as an illustration so that you garner and get your audience. So metaphors, they assist in that particular way to make a person understand what they are doing or what the paper is all about. And keep on planning is very important. Now, I said IEEE, they have their own template, ACM. So each and every conference, if you check it, each and every journal, most of them or all of them, they actually have their own template. But a standard template, if you are writing a technical paper, I will always say try and go to this IMRAD kind of a structure. Try, to have a title, an abstract that you'll write after all this, but try and write your introduction. I'm going to talk more about this part. Try and write your introduction, methods, write your results and discussion and conclusion, and then try and sum up your paper. This is IMRAD format. Most technical papers, that's what they follow. Most of them, unless they are specific. Right. Okay. Now, when you look on an abstract, you are writing an abstract for a technical paper, you need to remember that it's not like a literature review whereby you are going to put much more literature. Abstracts, they are normally checked, word check. Normally it's around 150 to 250 words. Try and stick to that. They are normally a one paragraph unless you are writing on writing for journals that maybe are using a business and engineering kind of journals, like an engineering or innovation management kind of a journal that will say we need an abstract that is classified maybe with a background, procedures, results. It's called something like a full abstract. Use the template still. So I keep on repeating myself if you check, because for a good thing to come through, you need to proofread it. Make sure you proofread it, right? But what entails into an abstract, there are 4 C's of a good abstract. Its completeness. It should cover the major parts of your project or of your research. It should contain no excess wordiness or words. It should have good number of words, no slang, no metaphors on an abstract. You need just to go to a point, and then I'll after this slide, I'm going to talk about something. It should be readable, well organized and readable, no jargon, as I've said. Cohesive, it should flow from part to part. How do you make it to flow? You need to write one or two sentences of the introduction, stating, or 3, stating the problem and the purpose, or giving a crucial background. Remember the hooks. Remember the hooks. You need to use them here. Methods. You need to write about a bit of a procedure that you've used. This kind of, in this paper, Python library, blah, blah, TensorFlow was used to do 1, 2, 3. The results were blah, blah, blah. So you need to go and extract from your big project. You need to extract key things that you think the reader might want to know. Now, how do you do this? Introduction, methods, results. You need to make sure that you read other people's work who published in that kind of a platform. Look at their abstract. You don't have to take the mistake that we do. We are taking their work as a do or die kind of work. You are taking, oh, this is Malele. Malele is excellent, so I'm going to take it as it is. No, Malele has mistakes again. Malele could have written this, but could have omitted a particular thing. Read it and make sure that it brings forth introduction, methods, and results. Then you can come to a bit of a conclusion. Try and not, if you want to improve your confidence there, try and not cite any references. Don't put any references there. Try by all means to write that abstract your own way. Now, then you will come to the introduction. I've said, first thing, try and use hooks. So the introduction needs to contain the problem. You need to write about this problem, briefly explain why the problem is not already solved or why other solutions are ineffective, and make use of a literature in this case. You write about it, make use of literature to show that this is a problem that is also in a literature space. In most cases, I find people writing, there's no relevant literature for this work. There's no such. If there's no literature for this work, what created the problem should have a literature of some sort. Your solution might be new, completely new, okay? Innovative, creative. It might be a new idea altogether. But there is something that was a problem that brought to a level for you to come up with an idea to solve. All right. So that particular area that gave you something is the one that it could give you the literature that you need to read about. Now, if you are depending on doing a literature review, and in this case, I'm going to talk about it now in methodology, in methods. If you are doing a systematic literature review, there's no way that you'll end up saying this area of work does not have literature. Rather, this area of work has a limited literature than to say it doesn't have literature. You are simply saying, I'm the first one to come up with the literature in this particular area. And this is what we see in a lot of documents that are written out there. Number two, on your introduction, put the related work. Remember, we are using MRAD. Unless the template said related work should come after the introduction, then this section, this whole section, comes as section 2 of the paper. So section 1 is introduction. And now if they didn't explain the related work or similar studies on section 2, but they said method, then you put your related work to, number 1, justify the problem. Number 2, show that your solution could address this particular problem. And number 3, why do you think these other people who have written or did the work in this particular area to try and address this problem, why their work is ineffective? There, what you need to do is to put, I normally say to students, if you're doing this thing, find 5 key papers that are trying to address this problem. And from there, look at the loopholes of these papers and try and think, how will your solution address their loopholes? Then in that case, you have something that you can present as a solution to the problem. But where do you get that? You'll get that from reading. ChatGPT cannot give you that. Number 3, then you present your idea. Number 1, problem. Number 2, literature to substantiate your problem and try and lead into your idea. Then you present your idea. Make sure that you are clear, briefly explaining what the concept or the idea is all about. Then number 4, motivate your idea. Still using literature, using things like those. Now, on your introduction, avoid putting too much of general knowledge in a technical paper. You can have 1 or 2 sentences that are trying to become a hook. Avoid to put the whole paragraph as a hook. You are writing about cybersecurity, and then you now begin to say how cybersecurity affected South Africa, how it affected America. Come to a point. When you're writing a technical paper, come to a point. You are not presenting an introduction of a dissertation or thesis. Come to a point and motivate that particular point. A motivation could be like, if this problem is not addressed using my solution, this could be the failures in this particular area. My general comments, if you look at them, I'm trying to build confidence here. I'll keep on saying them. Nice flow. Create a nice flow when you write. State and describe things that you think your readers need to understand prior to giving them your idea. Avoid explaining too much. Use literature for your ideas as well. Use a strong opening hook to introduce your topic and to get people interested. Those are the general comments under introduction. Now, under materials and methods, let me quickly explain some bit of a difference between a methodology and methods. All right. Methodology, when I say prepare eggs, in a methodology, somebody will tell me that if I prepare eggs, if I prepare an omelette will have this kind of kilojoules. An omelette, because of an onion and a tomato, a green pepper, or whatever inside the omelette, it will increase the kind of calories and all that. That's methodology. Prepare an omelette method. Turn off your stove, break your eggs. Now you are in a method, you go straight to your news, steps that you have taken. So technical papers, that's what they follow a lot. Scientific papers, they might want that methodology. And that is what you write a lot in your dissertation and your thesis. But when you write a technical paper, you write the steps that you took to do the research. Avoid telling us about quantitative research and a mixed method is all about, we are not there, right? In summary, research methods, instruments used in the selection and construction of the research technique, methodology, the science of understanding how research is performed methodically. So a paper, a technical paper, follows material and methods. Clearly, what kind of materials did you use? Why you used them? Briefly. Okay? What kind of methods you use? Why you use them? Briefly. Not the science behind, a lot of science behind that. However, be cautious here that other journals or conferences might need that kind of writing. If you are writing something that is technical, might want to understand your materials and methods in a methodological thinking. That is made by a lot of reviewers who follow a methodology kind of way than material and methods. So it's like when you try to explain to an engineer steps of doing something. An engineer will want the steps of doing something. The engineer won't want you to explain why those steps are important. This is what I got in my years of experience. When you are in the industry, they will tell you that if you pull a wire, you connect it, and you pull it, the generator starts. Connect the wire, pull it, the generator starts. Don't tell me about the sparks of the generator. We want to start the generator. That's it. So if you come to a person who's sitting there at your desk, that person wants the computer to work. And you keep on explaining a lot of things that that person might say you are ineffective while you are trying to educate them. Okay. Example number one, we are going to look at something. In your mind, I want you to imagine that you are writing a paper for a lab in which you isolate the caffeine from a cup of coffee. You want to isolate caffeine. Select the sentence that you will write in the materials and methods. I know a lot of people, when come to this, they will try and read, and then they will come with number 2. The second attempt resulted in the extraction of 73. It doesn't say what are the results. That's the result. And then the other one might say 200 milliliters coffee heated to 90 degrees. That's actually one way of seeing the step. But number 4 is the right one. 200 milliliter of coffee was placed in a flask and heated to 90 degrees. What do you see there? You see material, coffee. That's what we have. And then you see flask. You see a stove that will be heated. You see a measuring tool there, milliliters. Then you already see a step. So that's the line that you put in your materials and method. The materials and method should talk about the procedures used. Now, when you are writing a technical paper, let me be clear here. Reviewers, they hammer that point of materials and methods. It should be clear. It should be very, very clear, because they will want the next person to be able to follow your methods and achieve those results, and maybe see some extra results that they can present on their own. So when you write materials and method, you need to be very clear. The second example that I like a lot in presenting papers, I like the approach of this kind of an approach. I like to say, this is my research design. This is my research process, actually. I'm going to follow this process or this approach. I'm going to start with SLR, systematic literature review. Even if my systematic literature review on its own could be a paper, full paper. Simulation on its own could be a full paper. Modeling on its own, it could be a full paper. Now, when I put it like this, I'm simply saying, I'm starting with literature. I'm going to present literature relating to this work and show you some gaps in literature. And I'm going to take those gaps, I'm going to formulate an experiment using a particular criteria, requirements, and some matrices to measure. As I'm simulating this experiment, I might simulate it using tools, or I might be doing something like, the before and the afters. If you are using, for example, gamification in cybersecurity, and you want to create awareness, you take a group of people, they maybe answer questionnaires, and then the second group of people, you say, okay, you guys, you answer the similar questionnaires, but in a form of a game. Then you get their understanding, both groups. And then after that, you combine the same, or you combine the same group. You take the one that did the game, and you take the other one that's what we call control. You are controlling your experiment. So there's experiment A, experiment B, and then you get your answers. That's what you put. That on its own can be a paper. Then you can write a small draft in your technical paper. Literature gap, SLR, this is what I did. Number 2, and now number 3, the results. This gave me 1, 2, 3, and then I can equate this kind of a thinking into an equation, and then I can then build a model framework. I can design a system on this, and this is how I want my system to be designed. That's the kind of procedures. In this, I'm trying to explain how you can conduct systematic literature review. There are tools that you can use. There's Prisma. You can do bibliometric analysis. All those tools, they have a particular end goal behind. You can use some sentimental analysis. There's a goal on that. And all those tools, they can assist you. They are frameworks, but they have tools. There are tools that you can use to conduct a systematic literature review using Prisma. There's a tool there. You can do a bibliometric analysis of cybersecurity in South Africa. You can, if you use bibliometric, you'll find who's the key person in cybersecurity in South Africa based on publication, based on a lot other things. Network, whether South Africa is core networking. You can find a lot, and from your findings you can either draft a paper or use those findings now to write your technical paper, because you'll be having now some confidence out of the work that you are doing. Sentimental analysis, there are a lot of tools that you can use there, and you can come up with the opinions about a particular topic. Rushing, looking at my time, there are tools for simulations that you can sort of use to do particular simulations and experiments. For example, you can design your technical design, your hardware. You design your hardware, and you want to find the outputs, of that particular hardware, how will it behave? You can use tools like Proteus. And then from there, you build that hardware, then you embed your AI software on it using Python. Then after that, you do some experimentation. You play around the input variables. As you play around the input variables, you begin to observe the output. What is the behavior? And as you observe, this is key. Write down what you observe so that you can explain even in your paper. Number 3, you then, as you were observing, you then come up with a way of validating the model that is driving this input. And you will say then, for example, if you're doing machine learning, most of you are I know that in ML, people like to use maybe three and compare 3 models or algorithms. I normally say to students, do 5 and see which one is the best and take the best. Okay. When you do 5, it might lead you to an area of all of them are not the best. Then you begin to say ensemble method. You combine all algorithms and you tweak them. Then you come up with something new something innovative that you can present in the field. Results and discussions, the same kind of thinking, remember? Now I'm presenting the results. Here I'm going to present the literature that I've found, and then I will use tables and figures. Make sure that you don't miss that. To boost your confidence, put those tables and figures and make sure that you explain every figure. Yes, there are figures that are clearly labeled and the reader can gather what is there, but make sure that you put a paragraph for explaining particular figures. And you make sure you either cite them in the text or mention the figure directly. In figure 1, or figure 1 illustrates blah, 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 blah. And you continue with your writing, or the concept of see figure 1. That's what we are saying here. You need to cite that figure. You don't put a figure and leave it there. Discussion, avoid re-mentioning your results. Try and discuss your results in a way that if these 2 cybersecurity participants in awareness, gamification becomes the best, because gamification opened maybe a particular thinking, and people under comments, they started asking a lot of questions with the game. Others, they understand it better because of 1, 2, 3. You are discussing your results. You are not mentioning that I found 20 people who are now good at awareness, full stop. That's not discussion. Discuss why they are good at that particular concept you are trying to do. I always say to people, try and contribute something in using a technical paper. Every paper needs to have a bit of contribution. Make sure that you contribute. You can look at the performance matrices. You can contribute something about a matrix that you have used. You have changed certain things, and then the results that you got were because you have changed this thing. And for the future researcher, try and follow this experimental design. Try and follow and change the parameters, because if you change the parameters, then the performance begins to change. It's like a person who says, okay, here's ML, 3 of them, this is the result that I found. Then you find problems. Why the reader should be impressed with your solution, try and contribute that to the readers. When you draft your conclusion, make sure you don't repeat too much of the previous things, although I wrote some previous work here. Try and not make sure that you don't repeat. Just conclude that it was successful and you have mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on it. Try and put all the references. Now, the difference between references and bibliography is all the work that you read. Reference is a specific work that you read and used in your particular technical paper. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It was under 1 hour to rest. We could expand this so that I can illustrate more and more, but I want to put this 5 minutes for Q&A. Thank you very much, coordinators. Thank you very much, moderators. My story ends here.
Thank you so much, Prof. You are well on time. Thank you for all the knowledge that you have shared. Of course, I'm still going to do a proper closing and thanking you for joining and sharing this knowledge with us. Before we do that, I have also acknowledged that we have, well, 2 questions. There were 2 that I particularly also wanted just to get the conversation going. Also looking at if you're a new author and you have not published anything yet, how do you navigate and how do you go about, building your confidence with regards to writing and eventually publishing? So we can start with the questions. The first one, from Stephen. Does the technical journals result in some form of ranking for the author? I think in between yourself and Prof Topside, then maybe perhaps you can respond to the question. I know Prof Topside, you had also noted the questions as they are coming. I'm not sure if you like to respond to that?
Thank you. I can respond, and then Prof Malele will also add. Yeah, so in terms of ranking as an author, they do help. So these journals, they are normally categorized into 4 categories. We have Q1 until Q4. So when you apply maybe for funding or maybe for rating and also maybe for promotions in many universities, they will give or the journals that are published in Q1, like let's say a typical example like IEEE Access, they will give it there's more weight to you as a researcher. So it is very, very, very important that we always try and to publish on DTech accredited journals or Web of Science approved journals or Scopus indexed journals. That it helps you as a researcher to have more weight, even if when you move from University 1 to University B, if you only publish on Q4 journals where there is rumors of predatory, the peer review process is flawed, they accept your journal within 3 days or 2 days, and then you should have a problem as a researcher. So it is always advisable that we should look at most journals that have a high impact factor, because that also, so they do have a ranking in short, or they help you as a researcher in terms of ranking. So when it shows that what you are publishing is quality, because Q1 and Q2 journals, they won't accept if what you've presented does not include all the elements that Prof Malele has discussed or has tried to show in his presentation. Prof Malele, you can please do add. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. I captured the technical papers. Prof has mentioned the Q system, SCIMAGO system, SCIMA. If you want to check whether your conference or your journal is there, you can check those. And then I normally say for you as a student or a novice researcher, try first to see whether your writing can entice people. Now, you choose a DTech. In South Africa, we are using DTech list. It's a lot of, they will share in your institution. But if you don't you are not in an institution, you just want to write, I will say to you, okay, if you are going under IEEE or ACM, use IEEE Explore, look at the journals, look at the conferences, and you are a novice author, start with a conference and build up from a conference. Now you need to read the previous papers of other people and get the style and get the flow and begin to write your ideas and findings using that kind. So other people will say to you, like myself, I like to say to students, write a systematic literature review paper, because you will need that literature as you go along your work. So let us start there and look at the literature. But as we look at the literature, let us write a paper around the literature. So that's where I can say the novice author can start. You read a lot and you write. You don't take your mind and put it into technology, but you take your mind and write. Right now, my students have an assignment of writing just an introduction. And they need to proofread and scrutinize that introduction. They need to share it with their peers. Just quickly again, the second thing, attend webinars like this, workshops, writing retreats. They will always boost your confidence. They will always assist you as a new author if you want to publish. Understand the platform where you want to publish, what kind of things they publish. Technical ranking, Prof Matonsi said it, is rated. If you want to become a scientist, for example, if you go to, you can go to Google Scholar even right now, and then you'll say, okay, Google Scholar, let me see the profile of these people. They rank us based on what we call H index or I index. All those indexes, they have a particular bearing. You go to other platforms, they will have a particular bearing. That's the reason as a researcher now, writing in this technical environment, you need to as well take your research IDs, very important. Thank you very much. I think those were the two questions.
All right. Yes, Prof. There's just the last one. I think mine we addressed in both your responses. There's the last question from Mishak. How far back can you reference in a technical paper?
Yeah, Prof Matonsi, you want to get in there, but let me maybe mention this. A lot of people will tell you that it should not be older than 10 years, right? I normally say try and make sure 80 to 90% of your references is not older than 5 years. Because if it's not older than 5 years, you are hitting at the knot of being relevant. Let's take our field. Our field, changes in less than 6 months. We might be getting a new cell phone in less than 6 months. And somebody is now busy looking at 6G while other people are still on 5G. So the one that is looking on 6G, imagine if he can go and code 3G. He needs to look at 5G and mention issues in 5G. That makes him or her to look at 6G. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, I will just add, on top of what Prof has said. So while he is indicating that it should be at least within 5 years, as we've indicated in the previous question, that always go for high impact journals where you will use them as your references, because that also helps to improve the quality of your work. Because if you only reference works where the peer review was not really good, it will not be accepted in certain journals or in certain conferences. So it is very, very important that you also check the quality of the material. Where is it coming from? Where was it published? So that also, it also helps. As Prof has indicated, we have a number of DTech accredited journals and also IEEE conferences. They can also help you to check or to get most recent articles within that within a specific research area, or Springer. So those are some of the databases, or Scopus. Those are some of the databases when you are searching for these articles that you want to use as references in your work. You can try and consider as a start, as he has indicated, like when you are doing a systematic literature review, those are some of the databases that you can go for. So as he has indicated, within 5 years, it is advisable that you try and reference them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Prof. And in closing, we have the last question, which is, are there any recommended tools to check similarities?
Of course, Turnitin is the biggest that almost every institution use. You can Google the others, but I would prefer Turnitin because it has even AI now. We can check the similarity in AI. I think there's also a question that maybe we missed. I just quickly went on a chat. How can one distinguish between predatory journals and authentic ones? I think the answer of Prof Matonsi gave us a good and a clear direction. If the time is quick of that particular journal and you don't find it on DTech list, you know that there's a problem about it. Sometimes you can find it on DTech list, but you find that it's on the predatory journals. In South Africa, I know of, I don't know who's taking over now, but at Stellenbosch University, Professor Johan Mouton, he's the one who used to come up with the list of predatory journals. If you can Google Professor Johan Mouton, you can get the list. But even the universities themselves, Google any university, go to their research list, TUT, they also have that particular list. So most of the universities now, they have a particular list that of journals that you don't have to sort of use. And again, some journals, they push quantity and others, they push quality. It's better to go for quality kind of journals. Remember this, if they critique you, it doesn't mean they hate you. They are just boosting you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Kelvin, is that a question that is also coming from Chico? What are the chances of an article being accepted if one wants to publish an individual, as an individual, not under an institution?
As an individual.
Yes, yes.
The chances of publishing is your work good enough? Basically, they don't look at the institution, they look at the content. Let me say we look at the content, because me and Prof Matonsi here, we are some of the reviewers. Normally, we don't even see the name of the person who wrote the article. We see the content. That's what we call blind review. It's a double blind review kind of a thing. We don't see the institution. That happens when the editors of the journals, they now put your name and all that. Then I can realize, oh, I was reviewing work from Matonsi. I didn't know that Prof Matonsi wrote this. That's what we call peer review. Thank you very much.
Prof, is there anything on your side that you'd like to say before we close? I'm about to close.
Just to add on the predatory journal identification, another trend that they are also using is to send us emails, a very email that has beautiful colors, just to entice you to read it. So be very careful. High quality journals, they don't go out looking for authors to send papers to them. Us as authors, we look for them because of their quality. So that's also very, very important. So be very careful when you receive emails from journal publications promising you that they will publish your work within 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof. And thank you for sharing that as well. So in closing, thank you, Prof Malele, for your insightful presentation and the valuable knowledge shared on technical paper writing. I think we deeply appreciate your knowledge, expertise, and your willingness to present in today's webinar without any hesitation. We really appreciate your presence. And as well as to Prof Topside, thank you for your continuous collaboration with IITPSA, and especially for your instrumental role in organizing this event and securing us, Prof Malele. So we appreciate the ongoing support that you're also providing to the team. And finally, to everyone who attended, we even went overtime with, we are on 1842 now. So we appreciate you taking the time to join this webinar so that we can contribute more. We can all be very instrumental in providing solution and in shaping the future technology. So I'm hoping that after this webinar, we will have more contributions. I think we are at 33 members. I'm looking at having 33 new abstracts where you're going to be writing. And I hope it also helps in navigating, through technical paper writing and boosting our confidence in authoring more papers. We will look at having more webinars. We will explore topics as how AI, can improve the efficiency of our papers and also explore topics around ethical considerations when you're publishing an article. And lastly, a big thank you to Kelvin as well for assisting in organizing the webinar, and to the Gauteng Chapter Committee for your ongoing support and commitment and active presence in the technology landscape, helping to shape our future. I think, thank you everyone for joining. Kelvin, over to you.
All right, no, thank you very much to the professors, and thank you to Kolo and all the attendees. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you. Good night.